In this movie, I'm going to go over the best practices for converting a tin that's been produced by another software into the microsurvey quick-serve modeling engine and then export it as a LandXML file. It's a process that has to be gone through carefully because you want to ensure that the tin has integrity so that it expresses the same surface, even though it's going to be made by a slightly different algorithm. So I'll go over a few of the advanced settings. First thing that we want to make sure of is if we open up MS Tools and we check our job defaults, we want to make sure that we're assigning the appropriate units, because these units will be used when the LandXML is exported. So in this case, it's a metric file. And so what has happened is that someone with another software package has exported a tin that consists of 3D faces, and they've exported it as a DWG. This process is also going to be the same if it was exported as a DXF file. So what you'll notice is that as I pick each of these triangles, that this consists of multiple 3D faces. As I pick each one, I can see it's a different entity. And that's the way you want to start. Sometimes what you'll find is that these are welded so that they're a single polyface, and if that's the case, you would explode it once so that you've got just the 3D faces. Next thing that I like to do is you want to take a little bit of control of how densification is going to happen. So what I'll typically have you do is have a look at your triangles and try and pick what is a typical triangle side length, and I think that one there is pretty close to average. And so what I'm going to do is a distance check, and I'll zoom in here. So it is approximately 60 long. So what I generally suggest doing is setting the densify step size to double what a typical length is. So that would be, I'll make it about 100. Okay, so let's go into the advanced settings, and I'm going to go to configuration settings and grids, and here is where we set that value, where I want it to be about double the typical triangle length. So I'll make it 100 in this case. The other thing that you want to do is go into data extraction, and microsurvey will make its own decisions about how much break lines are going to be densified, and sometimes that can cause a whole lot of extra triangles to be created, which if it's going to be sent to field software for stakeout might be too much. So what I typically suggest you do is uncheck the densify step size, and I'm going to turn that off as well, or actually sorry, I'm going to leave that on, and here what I want to do is set the densify step size to half what that typical triangle length was. So it was 60, so I'll set it to 30. So that way it's going to extrapolate a few extra triangles to improve your integrity, but not a whole lot more. And so I'll say OK to that, and OK to that. So now that we've set these preferences, we can go straight to extract to surface, and I'll give my surface a name, and in this case ground is all I need, and then I'll select entities. So I'll just window in all those faces and I hit enter. So it's now created a surface, and the first thing you need to do is visualize that surface. So here we'll use the tin function, and down in the command line it asks you to pick the surface that you want to see a tin on. So I hit S here so that I can select ground, and we don't need to draw it, we just show it. And here's where we're just going to watch as the tin triangles are drawn, and you can see where there's a little bit of extra density being added here, and that just improves the integrity. And we just want to make sure that the triangles follow the white triangles that are in the background. So we'll let it work there, and it's finished. And so all I've done here is I've shown it, and you'll see that there are a few differences. Like over here, sometimes our modeling engine makes slightly different decisions about which triangles to follow and which ones not to. But If there are any doubts about it, then what you can do is you can just zoom in and specifically add a line or something to it. But I'll just assume that in this case the tin was drawn accurately. Last step we want to do is export it as a LandXML. So this surface is now, if I look in the surface operations, it's been stored here. If I wanted to look at some detailed info about it, I can see what its max and min X, Y, and Z values are. If I'm content with how it looks, then I'll just close this up and it's over to MS Points, LandXML export. I'll give it a name and a location. Let's put that in my downloads. And I'll call this one Demo XML. Then it will ask me to select the surface. Microsurvey allows you to create more than one surface, but we only have this one in memory. And we hit export. And you can see down here where it has created that XML file. Thanks for following.